You look at these big channels out there that have just been recording like every day or multiple times a day for a very long period of time. And their stuff is objectively pretty low quality, but they still do really well. It's just because you build a reputation over time. I see some guys in my community that have posted every day now for about a year. And like when they post, they get 500 comments on their posts, right? And there's new guys that posted once, and they might post something that is objectively much better quality. It doesn't really matter.
What's good, my man? How's your beautiful Wednesday, brother?
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
That's what we like to hear, dude. Best Wednesday of your life?
It's funny because you ask me that question every time we get on one of these, and every time my answer is always essentially yes, that it is the best day ever. But no, today was especially good. It is the last day of Make Money with Make, which
my
is
goodness,
the
dude.
first community that I started.
How do we make money with Make? Now Make Money with Make is no more.
That's a good question. Yeah, game over. Game over for anybody wanting to make money with Make. Dude, it's kind of cathartic, you know, to have this community and then just like try and sunset it. I don't know if you've ever done anything like that before, but it's odd.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like when a game shuts down and there's like 10 players. Happened with Halo 2 where they were all trapped, and like I think developers let them stay around until the last person turned their Xbox off, and it was like, and some even do really weird things like the sky will turn red. So I don't know if the sky's turning red and Make Money with Make, but maybe it is. I don't know.
That'd be pretty funny. I kind of wish we had like CSS access or something.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
I think my voice is echoing, Jack.
Is it echoing? Oh my god, dude! It's
Yeah.
it's because what you're saying is so important. We need to hear it twice. All right, can you hear it now, dude? Is it still echoing for you?
Let's see. Yeah.
You know, I'll reduce the volume. This will work. Dude, we can
Sounds
fix
good.
this in post, Nick. Isn't that what we do in Hollywood, baby? We
got
fix this
Tyler,
in post.
we got Jamie, we got a whole team.
Dude, we got
It's
a
no problem.
we got a Jamie on hand, man. Jamie's gonna fix this in post, dude. Dude, today we've got some cool stuff. So we've got some cool community things. There's some wild things happening in the world of AI, and dude, people making their millions of dollars with AI. This is the world's #1 podcast, generally speaking. And comment, by the way, we help you make your first $1 million, right? And then we're gonna do some roasting. So this is gonna be interactive. So we're gonna help somebody with a problem they've got, and then we're also gonna respond to some comments. We had a lot of dude bro comments, so we've got a lot of funny things to cover today, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude.
Dude, you came up in conversation this morning. I met with I met with the brand. Like I was having coffee. He's like, dude, I'm in Dubai. I was like, okay, cool. Swing by, say hello. And he said, I mentioned we're on a podcast later. He said, dude, Nick was on a podcast with somebody. It's a brand called Poppy that like they've done this whole thing, and he was like, oh, Nick had this really funny comment. He said, dude, yeah, Poppy's up my ass right now trying to like work with me or something. I was like, that's so funny. And like they clipped it, and it was like, we thought that was freaking hilarious. And I was like, it got me thinking, that was a really funny comment, but also that like, I think brands watch it. Like with the Daniel Priestley thing, when we roasted Daniel Priestley, and he was like, in the comments, like, oh yeah, dude, I actually don't use a teleprompter. It made me realize people watch content more than you think.
For sure. And the world is a lot smaller than you think. There are a certain select few that do watch like all the business podcasts, just like there's a certain select few of us that, you know, monetize a specific opportunity much better than other people. Yeah, it's crazy, man. This, the Daniel Priestley thing was just wild because to make a long story short, we did like a funnel breakdown of them, and then we just like didn't think anything. We didn't think about it twice. And then like a month later or something, Jack and I are going through the comments, and there's like Daniel Priestley, and he's like, hey, I don't use a teleprompter, by the way. And it's like, what?
It was crazy because we didn't check the comments for like 3 weeks, and that had been sat there doing nothing. But you don't know who's watching your content like at all. To be fair, you have no idea who's actually watching your stuff. Like, I think it'd be really interesting to know like who the most prolific person who's seeing your content is. Like, if there is a way to know that, like on Twitter, for example, like if Elon Musk follows you or retweets you, you know he's seen it. But I can't imagine like, yeah, okay, if you think about Sam Altman, for example, he's definitely on YouTube. Like okay, so David Andrade did a big video on the man behind OpenAI. It was like Sam Altman. It did like 1 million views or something a couple of years ago. If that were me, I'd probably watch the video. So it's like that you're definitely like on their radar. Like you don't know. Like I had someone in my community once. She worked at National Geographic, and I said we had a conversation about I said, okay, if you're thinking about CEOs of energy companies, like I said, I don't know. Like we were just postulating. Like I don't know how many of them are watching AI content creation on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe they're on LinkedIn. And she literally, at the end of the call, she said, "You made me laugh because my husband is a CEO of an energy company, and I was showing him your videos, and I was like, that is freaking hilarious." I said, "Oh, of course it is. What else is he doing?" But it just made me chuckle, dude. You don't know who's watching. I mean, some interesting could be watching. I mean, everyone who watches this podcast is a freaking G. They are winners. You can't be this far into the podcast without being a winner. You know, you're a great, attractive person, and you're going places because you're in the right place. But did you just know who's watching?
All 17 of our viewers are probably multimillionaires.
All 17,
all 17, handsome, and sexy.
All 17 of them did. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. They made me chuckle actually. Yeah. So that's cool, dude. So there's community stuff going on. In the world of AI, bro, like there's been some funky stuff happening. Have you been working on anything interesting last week? Anything you've been kind of noodling on? Any kind of cool projects?
Yeah, I've been Claude coding really hard. I'm not sure if I told you, but I fed Claude Code my entire genome.
No.
That was fun. So maybe not my whole genome, but my genotype test. Essentially, there are these tests out there that you could do, at least in Canada, where you spit into a little tube and then they send it off to some lab. And then, you know, they basically tell you like what your genotype is. And there's something like 6,000 different little genes that they test for. And this detects things like, I don't know, whether you're going to go bald or like whether your skin ages faster than usual. You know, like mostly pretty superficial stuff. But there is also like some pretty big disease detection as well. So it's like, do you have, I don't know, some super rare form of Huntington's disease and stuff? And like before you do the test, you need to like check all these boxes that basically say, hey, I figured this out. I'm not going to, you know, want to jump off a bridge. So it's really, really interesting. And you can get this stuff for like 100 CAD, which is like $70 US. A while back I did. The company was called 23andMe. Funnily enough, they went into bankruptcy and now they're selling all of our genomes.
Did you default on your 100 CAD payment, Nick? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think I know why it's so cheap now. What do they say? You know, if you're not spending a lot of money, you are the product or something like that. So I am the product.
Are you open source now, bro? You want GitHub? You'll let Genome like
dude, I GitHub open sourced my MIT license. Clone Nick anytime you want.
Yeah. I've got my Nick clones on my Claude Code scenarios. I like that, man.
But yeah, I fed it into Claude Code and I was just like, hey, can you tell me everything about me, basically, like from a biological basis? And I realized that like we all now have the ability to basically perform like genetic screening that otherwise would be worth like many, many thousands of dollars, probably tens of thousands of dollars, because I had it cross-reference like a bunch of open databases on genetics and then tell me like, hey, you know, this little gene snippet, is this found anywhere on the internet? Are there any studies out there that talk about how this is like, I don't know, good for me, bad for me, whatever? And it went and it did it across like all 6,000. And I got like a super comprehensive like genetic assay done. And yeah, it was wild, dude. I found that I was like deficient in a bunch of things. I found that like I have these metabolic pathway issues that prevent me from producing a bunch of things that other people get. And I did that a couple weeks ago. And then I was just like, okay, cool. How do I fix all this?
Yeah.
Code fixed me.
Yeah. Damn.
And it fixed me. It gave me a big list of supplements. And I started taking the supplements without even like thinking twice, to be honest, which maybe is not the best move. But I said, fuck it, we'll figure it out. And my sleep has been incredible for the last like 13 days. Ever since I got back from my trip, for the first time in my life, I've been averaging between 93% to 100% on my little Whoop sleep score. And on average before I was doing 80. And I was like, why the fuck is this happening? And it's because the supplement fixes this like metabolic issue that I had, which I didn't even realize that I had.
Whoa.
Which is insane, dude. It's like personalized healthcare. So that's really
nuts. Big. That is a crazy, dude. I love that. Especially like you get all this stuff in individual knowledge bases. You get like blood tests. It's got infinite context on that. Like the level of personalization now you can get from that is ridiculous. Yeah, because we literally, I'm not joking, 2 hours ago had this conversation that like in the UK, for example, the purpose of the healthcare system is to keep you surviving, not thriving. So for example, if you have like a blood test, it says your vitamin, like, you know, D, you're chronically on the index in vitamin D. You know, they'll be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like no one's got vitamin D in the UK, but it's like we're at the point now where you can take ownership and drive your healthcare on a level that we've never seen before. Like Elon Musk was chatting about whether it's worth becoming a doctor now and stuff with these like AI robotics and stuff. But I think before we get this utopian healthcare, there's the period of high agency usership, which is what we're in right now, which is people like you doing these incredibly detailed genetic screenings, open sourcing your genome, doing the tests and kind of like directing it. I mean, I think I'm going to do that, bro. The other thing I want to do is blood tests as well. I want to do the full comprehensive blood screening panel. I think in Dubai, they'll actually send someone out to your house, Nick. They'll rock up and take it. You don't even need to leave the door, mate. They'll just show up and do it. So, the little blood banks. I mean, I'm sure it's all decent, but I think it's cool. I think that's really cool, dude. Was it anything like really surprising in the data that you were like, wow, that was, because you can, I guess if also having kids, there's like, from biology, I haven't done biology since A level, but there are certain things where like, if you've got like the blue bit and they've got the red bit and they come together, you kind of like infinity gauntlet snap type of thing. So, you can do it with your girlfriend.
Yeah. I did find out that I was a carrier for a pretty terrible disease called cystic fibrosis. And if I have kids with a woman who is also a carrier for cystic fibrosis, then there's a pretty high chance that, our kid would end up having cystic fibrosis themselves, which is not a death sentence these days. But interestingly enough, just a few years ago, it was. Kids would like drown in the fluid buildup in their lungs and then die typically before the age of 10. So that was, not good, but I'm glad that I found that out. I also found out that I have a bunch of lung issues, which I think just explains some weird symptoms I've had my whole life. Like if I go for a really long run, I just start tasting blood, and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. Wonder where that came from. And it's just because, I have like this tissue that sort of sloughs off a little bit faster. So, if you're the sort of person that obsesses over this stuff and like thinks about it a ton, I could see how this might actually not be a good thing to do, because you'll just be in your head all day long thinking about like, oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Like, yeah, like there is such a thing as like over communicating, this information. But in my case, I'm pretty chill about it all. So it's been quite positive to know. And then I found out that I don't have Alzheimer's. That's great. I don't have the ApoE4 gene, which, basically like doesn't guarantee you have Alzheimer's, but it's like the prerequisite.
I think that's really freaking cool, dude. I mean, maybe it's like, because like the Nick is like maxing out in so many categories. We had to nerf him a little bit. We had to give him a couple of random things out there, dude.
They nerfed me, bro.
You
The
nerf
handicap.
your lungs, dude.
Patch update,
dude. You were like, remember, like you were going to be like the world's fastest runner. It's like, no, we got to nerf him, man. We got to take him down. Like, but it's funny. Like a lot of people just don't know. Like, I think knowledge is power in these cases. Like to know, what to avoid. These kind of like combinations. I think it's cool. I'm going to write them down as an action. Dude, I've got actions from this. I'm going to go and check that up. I think that's really freaking cool to do.
Yeah, I'd be really interested in hearing your gene makeup, because you'll figure out like your fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fibers.
Like fascinating. Well, dude, when I had like a flu at the beginning of the year, what was interesting to me is I had my blood results and immediately just like chatting with ChatGPT about what do these mean, what do that mean. But I find that it kind of gives you the tools to have conversations with doctors, to ask the right questions, to be like, well, why is this instead of this? Whereas before you were kind of like trusting in the system, and you have this spectrum of competence, don't you, across any profession. And like one of my buddies who was at university doctor, and like he said, dude, the things I saw in some of the GP offices, dude, like you wouldn't even believe. And it kind of stands to reason, right? Like you have like your top performers and your kind of like guys that just passed, I don't know, the medical exam 30 years ago and just aren't really that interested. So it's cool that you're weaponized now with knowledge, and you can ask those kinds of questions.
Yeah, definitely. And the issue with certifications like that are broad is there's just no way to tranche them, right? To like have different groups, as you were mentioning. So, the worst doctor is still a doctor.
I'm a stickler for this, dude. When Dexter, my Springer spinal, had a surgery, I said, like, dude, who's the best surgeon in this practice? I said, I only want the best. I said, I have to ask. It's my dog. Like, I don't want no kind of junior come lucky, with a scalpel, like doing what he needs to do. I said, we need the premium talent on this. And he's like, dude,
House MD shows up.
Dude, yeah, just some freaking like, yeah. I want him to have a limp. I want him to have a little bit of character. You know what I mean? I want him to be a bit of a renegade, someone who thinks outside the box. That's what I need. So, I literally kind of said, like, I need to speak to this guy before we go ahead and have a conversation. So it was funny. So I did do a bit of research to make sure that it was the right levels. But they get it. I was like, dude, it's my dog, dude. I need to make sure we've got the right guy. I said, they say you're the best. Is that true? He's like, well, I always... When you ask the nurse, like, are they the best surgeon in this practice? If it's anything other than yes, if they're like, well, we have many surgeons and the surgeons, it's like, okay, this is not the guy. I want to go like this. I said, cancel it. We got to go somewhere else. We need somewhere else. Dude, I heard of an example of someone doing a kidney stone removal from like watching a tutorial on YouTube.
What?
It didn't work.
Like a paid medical professional doing this on somebody else?
No, a non-paid medical professional.
Self.
It was somebody in some countries, I think it was in India potentially, who'd like in some local village who just like, I think they pretended they were a doctor or something, and they just performed it from a YouTube tutorial.
That's actually kind of inspiring.
It is. If it works. It didn't work, unfortunately.
Make it till you make it.
How bad, dude? Who's doing freaking kidney stone removal tutorials, dude? Like, maybe that's where we move into. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the niche, man.
This is YouTube's most comprehensive kidney stone removal masterclass that you're ever going to see. And I'm going to take you from never touching a scalpel to full kidney stone removal by the end of this video.
In 15 minutes.
It's like in 15 minutes, like 8 hours, and like decks and stuff. But could that be done? I think, I don't know, but if you had 8 hours, could you take a competent, non-medically inclined professional to complete it?
Hypothetically speaking, assuming that it was like a very low variant surgery, yes, because it is just a sequence of steps that occurs similarly every single time, right? If there is anything not in the video, you're absolutely fucked. But, pardon my French here. But if it's just like following the same thing, I mean, what is it? It's like motor skill, right? Over the course of an 8-hour or so period of time, you could absolutely learn how to stitch some silly thing back together. You would just pause frame by frame, advance one frame, advance another, right? And just like do the stitch and do everything.
Dude, under that video, there's a comment that says, patient profusely bleeding, what to do? Like kind of like underneath there, like join her live community to figure it out as you go along.
2 weeks later.
Yeah, like how is patient, blah, 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 blah. That's freaking hilarious. But I love that there are tutorials on pretty much anything now. You can just go ahead and learn that stuff. Makes me chuckle. Dude, did you see the whole, on the AI side with Grok, like the bikini-fication of X?
I've heard of the bikini-fication of society, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was freaking, I actually kind of like that Grok is running amok and going a bit wild on X. I think it's kind of cool.
Grok amok. I mean, hey, yeah, there's a certain poetic license to that.
I think it's dope. I think because like X is definitely like Grok is. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like Grok and X are kind of becoming the same thing. Like when you say X, you think Grok now to some extent, and vice versa. And it's like, the mission statement for X is we want to be the ultimate truth-seeking AI, which I think is really freaking cool. But even if that wasn't the case, the fact that you've stated it as your intended objective does have the same effect. It's like saying, I want to be the maximal truth-seeking X, whatever the thing is. Like, even if you're not, like the fact that you're positioning yourself as that is unique enough that people will associate you with the truth platform. Just from a position point of view, which I think is super interesting. Although, Elon's doing Grokipedia, which I'm hearing is like amazing and fantastic. Interesting side note on that, by the way. Did you know that when Wikipedia launched, there was actually a competitor to it that was paid? I forgot the name of it now. It had a really funny name. And the idea is, instead of it being like based on the free will of people, the idea of it was that you would pay experts. So they'd pay you and me to come talk about AI systems or whatever the thing is, right? And it just gained no steam and collapsed, and they shut the whole project down. But they had a really high budget for it. And what was interesting about that story was the fact that Wikipedia won with no budget. And it did that because of the reward systems. I think we talked about it in a different podcast, but this idea of rewards and human motivation is fascinating. Like the classic example, and my dog's barking now, he agrees with me, he hears the story all the time, is that like if you ask your friend to babysit for like 2 hours, right? And then you say, Nick, I really appreciate it. Here's $10 for your time. You'd be like, yeah, I mean, like, I'll do it as a favor, but like, you just value 2 hours of my time at 10. But you'd probably be like, that's a bit weird. But like, conversely, if I come back with a couple of coffees. I'm like, bro, thank you so much for that, dude. Here's coffees. The vibe's completely different. And it's like why people do the things that they do. And it's just interesting to me that on Wikipedia, it was this idea of like people do it because they want to contribute. But the second they feel like they're getting a kind of like dollar amount ascribed to their time, the whole dynamic changes. And it's this idea of like reward and action and how that drives everything that people do.
Yeah, non-material reward, for sure. There is a connotation of like material rewards versus things that are not dollars. Things that are potentially even directly translatable to dollars, to be honest. But like as long as they're not dollars, you don't have that negative connotation of the gift. Because it's one thing to be compensated, and it's another thing to, as you mentioned, be rewarded, right? That's the fundamental distinction there. I would much rather be rewarded than I would be necessarily compensated.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, so what's up with Grokipedia? I looked up Nick Sarayev just now. I don't see a page.
You're not on there. Seriously,
Kind of odd, huh?
let me see if
Doesn't really seem like the maximal truth-seeking platform to me.
I'm gonna
I don't know
see
about
if
you, Mr. Roberts.
I'm on Grokipedia, but it's
You're
not.
on Grokipedia. Nick Sarayev's not. What the heck's going on here?
No, it's not. It's not
We need
me.
to fix this.
It's someone else. It's called Jake the Snake Roberts. Is an American semi-type professional wrestler.
This is unbelievable.
This
Jack.
is not right.
So, some man stole your name?
This ain't right. He's Jake Roberts. They think it's a typo. I typed in Jack Roberts. It's like, do you mean Jake Roberts? I'm like, dude, what the,
You know,
what
it's
the hell
terrible.
is going on? Dude, we need to kick
On that-
Grokipedia at the butt, man.
On that note about X, though, like, why do I still call it Twitter?
Because that was in the cultural zeitgeist for so long. I
And
think
I
it will
used it
just
back then?
slowly. I think it will just slowly die out. Honestly, I think like we'll just naturally stop using Twitter and just start saying X. I've noticed that I say X more than Twitter now.
I loved, like, Twitter is a way better name than X. Hand God. Twitter, yeah, it's like a concept. What's X, dude? It's a freaking letter. 4 cardinal directions. Like, come on, Twitter. You know, it's like I'm twittering. That's cool. Tweeting.
But it got too woke, bro. Twitter got way too woke.
Well,
It
yeah.
got way out of control, and like, I don't know. It's like I like the rebrand. I like that it went black, but it's like, what did he buy? Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the brand value is in Twitter. So the whole move over to X was like, yeah, it was like I do wonder if he should have just started a new one type of thing.
Wasn't it wild how like he bought it and then everybody on planet Earth was like, this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, why would you do this? And then he fired like 95% of staff or whatever. I don't actually know the numbers.
And
so
like no change to the performance of the platform at all. Like,
everybody was like, this is insane. What are you guys going to break? And then it was like, had a couple of bumps, right? But then like it ended up working. And then also he changed the name from Twitter to X everywhere. And everybody's like, what the hell? All that brand value that's been built up. And like, it's still pretty, like it's quite popular. I don't actually know what the performance of it is, to be honest. I should look into it. I think the total daily active users is better now than it was before.
I bet. Well,
Yeah.
that was long-term play. There's one thing I noticed about the billionaires is they take very long-term plays. He had an idea, had a vision. It was like, this is about, I get the sense, I don't think the purchase of Twitter was I'm trying to maximize my income. He probably could have redeployed the capital in his existing businesses, SpaceX, Tesla, etc. Don't think he needed it. I genuinely do believe this was a free speech thing that he did. And he genuinely believed that we want to kind of like make it truth seeking. I like the way that he runs it in a sense, because like, he is very like open source the algorithm, and he will say, if you're having trouble with whatever the thing is, let me know down below type of thing. I like that he's visible on the platform. Like he does seem to kind of shoot from the hip a little bit, which I think is cool.
Yeah, that's true. I think people on the platform that like him do appreciate that. I think if you think about it though, it could also be framed as a financial move. Just a very long-term financial move. It's kind of like Peter Thiel lobbying the government to use Palantir versus like marketing it through ad spend, which I know sounds wild, but like, hear me out here. It may be, and this is wild, but it may be that Elon Musk deduced that it would be more cost effective for him to buy a social media platform and change the minds of, 50% of the US population to push through things like, through like the democratic apparatus, to therefore like lobby and then push his own products, let's say like Tesla and whatever, than to actually just blow all that shit on Facebook ads. Like that might actually be a move. If you think about it long term, it may actually be more conducive to his ends to like change the opinions of society. And I don't know, make them, if he really thinks that we were regressing to like the dark ages with like, this neo-progressivism, which is like, saying no to, a lot of like, whatever the hell, empirical effectiveness, right? It may actually be the easier play for him to just like invest in overturning the entirety of American politics.
Well, I think that's a really interesting theory, because the interesting thing about Elon's portfolio, if you think about it, is that they all support one another in a very interesting way. Like, you own the platform. Do you know what I'm saying? He owns a platform. He has AI on the platform. He's got, and then they all, if you actually break down all those companies, they all relate in an interesting way. And you're probably right, dude. I mean, like, when you get to the point where you have like billions, I mean, like, you can make some big plays. You can make some really saucy plays with billions and billions of capital and stuff. It's just like with the Tesla, the robotics is a brand new product category that's coming out. That's really freaking fascinating. I think that's going to be huge. And then the gaming thing, which I think is going to be like one of our asymmetric bets. My prediction for us, dude, when we do the gaming and things like that, I actually think that that's going to be one of the fastest growing industries out there. Is going to be the gaming side of things. And I think having a media play in the gaming space, I think, is going to be one of the highest ROI things that you can do.
Dude, I'm really excited to get back to daily posting, because I think that sort of like blends in with it. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a bunch of these channels on YouTube that talk about, like various tech things. And they're not even like tech channels necessarily, but they just like talk about it. Like CoffeeZilla, him in some dark room or whatever, just puts out a video basically like every day or two that there's like some development or whatever. And like you listen to him because he's a filter for all of the bullshit that is occurring right now. And it's like all these different paths go into this one node that is CoffeeZilla. And it's like, oh, I trust his interpretation of the thing. So that's what I'm going to kind of use. I'm really excited to get into daily posting again, because I think that just like lends itself to this sort of thing. I think, if people trust you as like a figure, a filter, or some sort of consensus mechanism for the various crazy batshit things that are going on in the world, and they are getting more and more batshit day by day, then you increase in value. Then you pop out some League of Legends or something like that. You throw some Halo down or whatever. And now it's more about like the character of the person than it is necessarily like what it is that you are talking about. That's why freaking Moist Critical is crushing it so hard on YouTube.
Yeah, it's almost like he has so much inbuilt trust from his audience, and they treat it like a treasured commodity. Is that your kind of plan, dude? Do you want to do more kind of top of funnel, like more daily access content where you're kind of reacting and shaping hearts and minds on things?
Well, I'm trying. What I'd like to do is I think I'd like to do what I was doing on my daily updates channel, just on my main channel. And I just want to record a video every single day about something. And I don't necessarily want it to be like the most groundbreaking best video of all time. But what I've come to realize is like my main strength is volume, and then the ability to articulate over a long period of time and then make sense coherently over that long period of time. So it's like, I should just be pressing on that, right? I just like my desire for perfectionism, I guess, constantly butts into that, where I'm like worried that the content quality is not going to be as high. And then as a result of that, I'm going to get a lot of like unsubscriptions, and it's just not like a strategically good move. I guess that's what I'm worried about. Excuse me, which just doesn't really make sense, because you look at these big channels out there that have just been recording like every day or multiple times a day for a very long period of time. And their stuff is objectively pretty low quality, but they still do really well. Why? It's just because you build a reputation over time. If you show up every single day for like a year in whatever it is, people will like you. I see some guys in my community that have posted every day now for about a year. And like when they post, they get 500 comments on their posts, right? Then there's new guys that posted once, and they might post something that is objectively much better quality. Doesn't really matter. So it's almost just like staying power, I guess. And I know it sounds silly, but it's really not that big of a deal to like record like a half hour, 45-minute video once a day. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that makes sense, dude. I think that makes good sense, because there is an appetite to consume the content. And I think if you're just ruthlessly consistent with it, people will watch it. I mean, I was chatting to one of my mutual friends about the AI content, the AI avatar content that's kind of like bopping up. And there's some channels, dude, they post like probably daily, and they get like 6-figure views, yapping about, for all intents and purposes, nonsense. Quite frankly, like China taking over the blah blah blah, like that kind of thing. Like, and it's like, this is pure. Like, and I was kind of really intrigued by it, because I was like, it's an AI avatar. And I was like, dude, if you just added some level of quality and thought to this content, and we're tapping on the right buttons, why would that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I was kind of like, this is just, it's just a trend I saw. I was like, that's interesting to me, that like there is now undeniably, we know, for example, on Instagram, which I'm not focused on at the moment, but there's like accounts like AI Surfer, for instance, which are AI generated. But granted, he does give specific value, so there's a clear expected utility in the short. But I mean, there are actual people will consume AI generated long form content, providing you're servicing something. Like, for example, if you're giving a helpful update on something, like there is actual utility I get from the video. Like, even though I prefer to consume it from a human, I prefer real beef, for example, than this fictitious beef. But if I'm starving, there's no options, I'll fricking take the McDonald's, right? It's that kind of thing. So it's interesting to me, bro. Yeah, I think volume is key. I think volume is king on this stuff. But you can generally, I think, like, you start a niche and you just gradually keep on getting broader and broader, right? So I like that, man. I think that's really cool. What would you talk about? Would you talk about like Claude Code just dropped this thing, and like this was kind of Elon Musk?
I have no clue. None whatsoever. However, what I've come to realize is the way that all of these channels can consistently produce content for a very long period of time is they just don't come up with the ideas themselves. They just source them from their audience, or they source them from like a newsreel or something. So they basically just, new Twitter post. They get 3 big Twitter posts and they talk about them during the day. And it's like, oh, that's great. Infinite interesting content. When I did my daily updates, that was basically it. I just scrolled through comments, picked comments. Hey, infinitely interesting content. It's always different, but I don't actually have to do any of the ideation. So I think that's the play. Hey, Jack, I got a hard stop in 5 minutes here. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up. Do you want to do like a couple of questions or something like that while we can? Okay. Do you happen to have it open, or should I open it?
I do not have it open. I will.
Okay. Yeah, Millionaire Podcast, 1,140 subscribers. God damn, that's not bad.
The most handsome, successful 1,146 people on the planet. Welcome, guys. And now we're going to answer some questions. Speedrun style. So let's do it.
Beautiful. Okay, scrolling all the way down to the bottom here. Damn, it's been 2 months. Jordan says, great pod. Hey, Jordan, what's going on? I know he runs a good YouTube channel. Jed says, agreed, live stream is the next big thing to generate authenticity with the explosion of AI. Aldo says he watched the whole vid and loved it. Thank you. Build with Mia says, knew there was a reason I liked you guys. Manchester United. Are you into Manchester United?
Dude, I was when I was 10 years old. Not so much into football right now. We love that though, Mia. Hey, thanks, That's Mia. So awesome, man.
Appreciate it. Dude, how did I miss this? I had no idea you guys were live. Where are the questions? Thank you very much, Lilith. This fella gets a lot of value from us. Thank you. Alex says wholesome. I don't know. Wholesome? I don't know about that. This guy's trying to make money off of us. He says, this episode had so many strong moments. I clipped a few highlights and made a sample shorts from it. I can send them to test. It'll really help my portfolio working with you guys, please. Can we talk for like 1 minute about this outreach here? Why do I care that it'll help your portfolio? If in a perfect world, we're just laissez-faire economics here, right? I work with people that make me money. I don't actually care that it'll help you or your business. Like, I'm not altruistic enough to stoop down and help every single person that, thinks that it would assist their portfolio, right? I get like dozens of emails like this a day. Like, could you reformulate that in a way that it would actually help me? Because that's what I give a shit about.
It's like, the general rule is nobody cares about you. It's what do I get out of it? It's the pretext to everything. And yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like I had this funny email, and I get this email a lot, which is, hey Nick, I built you the best strategy ever for insert the thing. Is it cool if I send that over to you, bro? Is that all right? It's like, you've not built the thing. We know, we both know you've not done it. I actually had an email from somebody called it was like what was his name? He said, his name was like Jason, but he had some like hot AI chick as his like Gmail profile photo. And it's like, I think people just aren't thinking about it through the frame that they're receiving it. It is the bottom line. Yeah, I think that it's incentives 100%. It's a good point, bro.
Yeah, I'd agree. Eyes Point says you're absolutely correct. The business skills and creativity are the actual value. Everything else will get commoditized. Hell yeah. How to make money? Make clickbait videos and don't talk about anything specific. Be as vague as possible and use trending words from our Pokemaster over here.
Do you know what's really interesting on that as well? I'd throw out like, whenever you like, you take time to leave like any, and this is just like a general, because it doesn't, you know, with any kind of size and scale, you always get comments, but it's like, think about like the energy and time to leave comments like that could be reallocated to building and growth. My point is like, Michael Jordan's not in the comment section dropping comments like this, you know.
Who knows? Daniel Priestley's in the comment section.
Dude, maybe Michael Jordan. Like, I hate this podcast. It's like, this podcast is.
Khalik Noor says the plane for selling courses to desperate people who wants to be a millionaire without the process. That's our plane.
Mm-hmm.
I've been planning that one for a while. Uri says, I'm 100% an AI, but if you can't see the bubble, you simply have not been around long enough to understand these things. But if you boys need some help with ads, reach out. Oof, man, we got quite the pitch here. Shit, should we? Should we reach out to him? I think we should reach out to him.
Uri Liederman.
He's got a pretty good-looking social funnel engine. Oh, it's probably his kid. Okay, now I feel bad. Why is it that, like, you could just put a kid next to anybody, and, like, if it's their kid, you just, like, he's probably a good guy, you know?
100%, yeah. Maybe halo effect. Maybe you see the kids and stuff is an interesting one. Dude, yeah. That's fascinating. So what was his point? His point was the AI is not a bubble. Do you know what's interesting?
No, his point is that AI is a bubble, and that you and I said AI was not a bubble. I'm sure there are bubble-like components to the recent AI boom for sure, but you know, bubble to me has always represented speculation with no underlying value.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. And if you think of the graph of potential value and realized value, the space of that graph is only getting larger. It's not getting smaller, because even if you stopped all AI developments today, we're nowhere near fully capitalized, but then AI keeps continuing better and the opportunity landscape does. So to that extent, I don't think it's, I mean, there's probably bubbly aspects to it, like the whole NVIDIA OpenAI investment circle things. But dude, it's an exciting technology for a reason. Broski, we're going to pull this one together for a beautiful close. Next episode, we'll create some more time for some Q&A. We'll do some like more intense roasts. Brandon, we're going to stream in a bit once we've gone and done some Genome open sourcing for an hour or so, right?
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All
Looking
right,
forward
brother.
to next time, Jack.
Thanks, everybody. Catch you guys soon.
Cheers.